At just 6 months old, this little baby's life had already been filled with unexpected challenges. Born with a condition that resulted in paralysis from the waist down, the baby's journey was one that no parent ever hopes to embark on. From the very beginning, the parents were thrust into a world of uncertainty. What would the future hold? Could their child, so young and fragile, ever live a life without pain, without constant struggle? Every moment was marked by a deep sense of worry, but also an unshakable determination to give their baby the best possible chance at a fulfilling life. The days were long, filled with countless doctor visits, therapy sessions, and hours of support, all aimed at giving the baby a better quality of life. As they sought medical advice, the parents learned of the treatments and therapies available. These sessions were intended to help improve the baby's range of motion and manage the paralysis. Still, each therapy session left them with more questions than answers, and at times, the weight of it all felt unbearable. It wasn't just about the physical toll, it was the emotional strain as well. The baby could not yet sit up, could not crawl, and could not take those first few steps that every parent eagerly anticipates. The milestones that others take for granted felt like distant dreams. Yet, in the midst of these trials, there were moments of joy. Every tiny smile, every soft giggle from the baby was a reminder that there was so much potential, so much promise. The baby might not have been able to move or walk, but the eyes were full of wonder, and the smile was full of hope. This little soul had already overcome so much, and the parents were determined to make sure their child would never feel limited. They believed with all their hearts that there was hope, that their child could one day experience the world in ways they couldn't yet imagine. But in the midst of this overwhelming journey, there was something else, something that none of the doctors or therapists had prepared them for. A puppy. This puppy was not a planned addition to the family, but one that seemed to appear at just the right time. The family had always been fond of dogs, but the idea of adding a new member to their household in such a challenging time hadn't seemed like the most sensible decision. However, as with all things, fate had a way of surprising them. This puppy was small, energetic, and full of life. It was playful and curious, a perfect fit for a family that had recently faced so many heavy days. The puppy's playful antics brought much-needed laughter into the home, and as the family adjusted to life with the new puppy, they began to notice something incredible. The puppy had an unusual affinity for the baby. It seemed to instinctively know when the baby needed comfort, and without any prompting, the puppy would nuzzle against the baby, curl up next to them, and offer a silent, comforting presence. There was no training involved, no cues given, just an innate understanding that the baby needed a companion, needed warmth, needed love. At first, the parents didn't think too much of it. After all, puppies were affectionate by nature, and this one was no different. But soon, they began to realize that the puppy's presence had a calming effect on the baby. On days when the baby seemed unsettled, when they cried or were uncomfortable, the puppy was always there, offering a gentle nudge, a soft lick, or simply lying next to the baby. It was as though the puppy knew that sometimes the only thing a baby needed was the comfort of something familiar, something loving. What the parents found even more surprising was how the puppy seemed to understand the baby's limitations. When the baby was upset or frustrated, unable to move or do the things they could see other babies doing, the puppy would not react with the usual playfulness or energy. Instead, the puppy would stay close, offering silent companionship, never demanding attention, but simply being there. The puppy didn't need words to understand what the baby needed. It just knew. It was as though the puppy could sense when the baby was in pain or when the baby was in need of comfort, and it would respond without hesitation. It became clear that the puppy was not just a pet, it was a friend, a confidant, and even a source of healing. For the parents, seeing the baby and the puppy together was a moment of pure connection. There was something so raw, so genuine about the way the puppy offered its presence. It didn't care about the baby's disability. It didn't care about what the baby could or couldn't do. It loved the baby simply for being the baby. And in that love, there was healing. Over the weeks that followed, the bond between the baby and the puppy grew stronger. The puppy would follow the baby around, always staying close, always watching over them. It wasn't just a cute companionship. It was something deeper, something that could not be explained in simple terms. It was as if the puppy had an understanding of the baby's needs that went beyond instinct. There were no complicated actions involved, no need for grand gestures, just a simple presence, silent, comforting, and unwavering. For the parents, witnessing this bond was both comforting and surprising. They had been so focused on the baby's physical condition, on all the therapies and treatments that were designed to improve the baby's mobility, that they hadn't realized how much emotional and psychological support could play a role in healing. The baby might not have been able to move their legs or sit up on their own, but they were responding to something much deeper, a connection to another being. The puppy's role in the baby's life was not just as a playmate or a source of joy, but as a healer in its own right. What the parents also began to see was how the baby's energy seemed to change when the puppy was around. Though the baby could not physically move, there were moments when it seemed as though the baby's spirit was lifted by the puppy's presence. It was as if the baby was more at ease, more comfortable, more willing to rest and sleep. The soft, rhythmic sound of the puppy's breathing, the way the puppy would curl up next to the baby, was soothing in a way that the parents could not explain. There was a sense of peace in the room when the two were together, an unspoken bond of trust, love, and understanding. As the baby's parents continued their journey, navigating the complexities of their child's condition, they found solace in the midst of so much uncertainty. The baby had found a source of comfort, and the puppy had found a family to care for and protect. It was a bond built on trust, mutual understanding, and above all, love. Looking back, the parents realized that they had been given something truly special. The baby's journey was still uncertain, still filled with challenges, but they had a sense of peace, knowing that there was someone, something, there to support them along the way. The puppy had become more than just a family pet. It had become a source of hope, a symbol of unconditional love, and a reminder that sometimes the smallest, most innocent creatures can make the biggest difference in our lives. Through the puppy's love and companionship, the family began to understand that healing doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it comes quietly, in small, gentle moments. It comes in the form of a puppy's nudge, a baby's soft laugh, or a shared moment of peace between two beings who, in their innocence, understand what the other needs. In the quiet moments shared between the baby and the puppy was a beautiful reminder that in times of struggle, love, and connection are often the greatest sources of strength. And so, this incredible bond continued to grow, one quiet moment at a time. The baby's journey was far from over, but the puppy's presence was a constant source of comfort and healing, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, love could help light the way. The day was like any other, quiet, peaceful, and filled with the usual routine that came with raising a child with special needs. The baby, now 6 months old, had already become a part of a schedule that revolved around doctor's visits, therapies, and constant care. Despite the baby's paralysis, the parents had learned to adapt, making each day as comfortable and fulfilling as possible for their child. The struggles were always there, of course, lurking in the background, but there was a sense of resilience in their home. The baby might not have been able to move freely, but the love and support surrounding them made every day a little brighter. On this particular afternoon, the baby had been a bit more fussy than usual. Perhaps it was the new therapy session that morning, or maybe it was just one of those days when nothing seemed to settle the little one. Whatever the reason, the baby's cries were louder than normal, a clear sign of distress. It wasn't uncommon for the baby to feel uncomfortable or frustrated, especially as they couldn't move their body the way other babies could. And for the parents, each cry was a reminder of the challenges their child faced, not just physically, but emotionally too. It was never easy, watching their baby struggle to find peace. But amid the usual hustle and bustle, something unexpected happened. As the baby lay on the soft rug in the living room, trying to calm down, the puppy, who had been playing in the corner, seemed to sense the baby's discomfort. The puppy, who had always been curious and playful, had been accustomed to the usual sounds of the house: the hum of the baby's giggles, the clink of dishes, the footsteps of the parents moving about. But the sound of distress was different. The puppy perked up its ears, its bright eyes locking onto the baby. Without hesitation, it trotted over to where the baby lay, tail wagging gently, as if instinctively knowing that something was needed. The puppy did not bark or jump around like it usually did when it was excited. Instead, it approached the baby slowly, almost cautiously, as though it understood the situation. There was something calming about the puppy's presence, its soft fur and gentle demeanor bringing a sense of quiet into the room. The baby's cries continued, but there was a noticeable shift in the atmosphere as the puppy snuggled close, pressing its tiny body against the baby's side. The warmth of the puppy's body against the baby seemed to have an immediate effect. The baby's cries began to soften, the tension in their little face easing, almost as if the puppy's presence was a soothing balm for their discomfort. The parents, who had been watching from a distance, were taken aback by the puppy's sensitivity. They had never trained the puppy to comfort the baby in such a specific way. There had been no instruction on how to care for a baby who could not move or communicate the way other babies could. Yet, here was the puppy, offering a quiet comfort that words or actions could not explain. It wasn't just the proximity, it was the intention. The puppy was not merely sitting beside the baby, it was offering something deeper, something that only animals seem to understand. It was offering unconditional love and silent support. As the baby's cries began to fade and the baby settled into a peaceful quiet, the parents exchanged a look of amazement. They had always known that pets could bring joy and comfort, but this was something entirely different. The puppy's instinct to stay close to the baby during times of distress was remarkable. It was as though the puppy knew that the baby needed something more than just physical care. It needed emotional connection, and it needed a sense of security. And in that moment, the puppy had provided just that. After a few minutes, the baby fell into a deep sleep. It was the kind of sleep that every parent longs for, calm, restful, and uninterrupted. The soft rhythm of the baby's breathing filled the room, and for the first time that day, the house was silent. But the puppy didn't move. Instead, it stayed right there, lying next to the baby, its head resting gently on the baby's small body. It was as though the puppy understood that the baby was vulnerable, that its presence could help protect the baby in ways the parents never could have imagined. It was as if the puppy was promising to stay by the baby's side, offering its warmth and security whenever it was needed. The parents marveled at the scene, their hearts swelling with gratitude. They had always known the puppy to be affectionate and playful, but this was something entirely different. It wasn't about playtime or excitement, it was about something deeper. The puppy's presence was an expression of love, a love that was so pure and simple that it didn't need words to communicate its meaning. The puppy had no idea that it was performing a miracle. It wasn't trying to fix anything or change anything. It was simply being there for the baby, offering its comfort in the most basic and natural way. As the baby slept peacefully, the parents couldn't help but reflect on the many challenges they had faced over the past months. There had been countless moments of doubt and fear, countless days spent in therapy and doctors' offices, each one marked by uncertainty. But now, in this quiet moment, they saw something they hadn't expected, a sense of peace, a sense of comfort that came from the most unlikely of sources. It wasn't the medical treatments or the specialized equipment that had brought peace to their child. It wasn't the doctors or the therapists who had provided the healing. It was the puppy. It was this small, furry creature offering its love and companionship without question. And as the days went on, the puppy's presence continued to bring solace to both the baby and the parents. Whenever the baby became upset or unsettled, the puppy would be there, its tail wagging gently, its body curled up beside the baby. It became clear that the bond between the two was growing stronger. The puppy was not just a pet anymore, it was a source of comfort and healing, a partner in the baby's journey. There were moments when the baby seemed to find some measure of relief simply from being close to the puppy. The baby's tiny hands would reach out, and the puppy would respond by licking the baby's hand gently, as though offering a reassuring touch. The puppy's soothing presence was enough to help the baby relax, to feel a sense of security in a world that often felt overwhelming. And as the baby began to fall into a more regular sleep pattern, the parents began to notice small improvements in their child's overall well-being. The baby seemed more at ease, more relaxed, and even appeared to be responding to the puppy's comforting presence in subtle ways. This was not the kind of improvement that could be measured in medical terms, of course. It wasn't about physical recovery or mobility, but it was something just as important. It was emotional healing, the kind of healing that could not be quantified or measured by tests and assessments. It was a shift in the baby's emotional state, a softening of the tension that had been so present in their early months, and it was a reminder that healing comes in many forms. It is not always physical. Sometimes it is emotional. Sometimes it is simply about finding peace in the presence of a loving companion. For the parents, this bond between their baby and the puppy became a symbol of hope. It reminded them that even in the midst of the most difficult challenges, there was still love and comfort to be found. The puppy, in its quiet, simple way, had taught them a powerful lesson, that healing is not always about fixing what is broken. Sometimes it is simply about being there for someone, offering your love and comfort, and letting them know they are not alone. In that moment, the puppy had done just that. As the weeks passed, the bond between the baby and the puppy only grew stronger, and the impact on the parents became more and more apparent. What started as a simple connection between a baby and a puppy had blossomed into something much deeper, a silent, unspoken understanding that transcended words. The parents found themselves reflecting often on how much this little puppy had transformed their lives. When they first brought the puppy home, they hadn't realized what a profound effect it would have, not just on their baby, but on their entire family. The puppy had become a constant presence in their lives, and in ways they hadn't anticipated, it had helped them see the world through a different lens. It wasn't just the calm moments when the puppy lay by the baby's side, providing comfort and companionship. It was also in the quiet moments when the puppy did something so simple, yet so profound, that it brought tears to the parents' eyes. The baby, though unable to move on their own, began to reach for the puppy. Their tiny hands, though still weak and unable to grip, would stretch out toward the soft, furry creature, as if instinctively knowing that this was their companion, their friend. The baby's eyes would light up whenever the puppy came near, and the parents noticed that the baby would respond to the puppy's presence with smiles and soft coos, something they hadn't done for anyone else. It was a connection unlike any other, a bond between two beings that was formed without the need for words or explanation. This simple act of reaching for the puppy became a source of joy for the parents. It was a small yet powerful symbol of the baby's growing emotional development. The parents had been so focused on the physical challenges their child faced that they hadn't fully appreciated the importance of emotional growth. But now they saw how crucial it was to the baby's overall well-being. The baby was learning, growing, and developing in ways they hadn't expected. It wasn't just about the physical milestones. They were also witnessing emotional milestones. The baby's connection to the puppy was a sign that their emotional world was expanding, that they were capable of forming bonds and experiencing affection. There were moments when the parents would find themselves watching the two interact, mesmerized by the simple beauty of their connection. The puppy's tail would wag excitedly when the baby's hand reached out, and it would nuzzle against the baby's face, offering a gentle lick or a soft cuddle. It was as if the puppy understood exactly what the baby needed. There was no hurry, no rush. The puppy was patient, allowing the baby to explore their world at their own pace, offering nothing but unconditional love. And the baby, in return, seemed to respond in the only way they knew how, with warmth, with trust, and with a growing sense of security. The parents began to realize that this bond was helping the baby in ways they hadn't considered before. The baby, though unable to walk or move freely, was learning to trust. They were learning that the world could be a safe place, that they could rely on someone or something for comfort and protection. This was something that couldn't be taught in therapy sessions or doctors' offices. It was something that was learned through experience, through the quiet, constant presence of the puppy. And as the parents witnessed this development, they couldn't help but feel a deep sense of gratitude for the puppy's role in their child's life. It wasn't just about the puppy's companionship, it was about the emotional support that the puppy was offering in ways that no one else could. The baby's physical limitations remained, of course, and the parents continued with the therapies and treatments that were part of their daily routine. But they had begun to see something new. They had started to understand that healing didn't just happen in the form of physical recovery. Sometimes, healing was emotional. It was about learning to trust, to feel secure, and to form connections with others. The puppy had provided that healing in the most simple, yet profound way. As time went on, the parents began to notice more subtle changes in their baby. The baby's emotional state seemed to improve. They were more relaxed, more at ease, and less likely to become upset or anxious. The parents had tried everything to soothe the baby in the past, but nothing had worked quite as well as the quiet presence of the puppy. There was something about the puppy's calm demeanor and gentle nature that seemed to settle the baby's nervous system. When the baby would become fussy or upset, the puppy would sense the distress and immediately go to the baby's side, offering comfort with its warm body and gentle companionship. One particular day, the parents were sitting in the living room, watching the baby and the puppy interact. The baby was lying on a soft blanket, and the puppy was curled up next to them, both of them relaxed and content. The parents noticed that for the first time in a while, the baby seemed completely at ease. There was no tension in their body, no signs of distress. The baby was calm, and so was the puppy. The parents looked at each other, sharing a quiet, knowing glance. It was in that moment that they realized how deeply the puppy had impacted their lives. It wasn't just about bringing joy or comfort. It was about healing. The puppy had helped them heal, and it had helped their baby heal. The days continued to pass, and the bond between the baby and the puppy continued to grow. The puppy's affection and sensitivity to the baby's needs became more apparent with each passing day. Whether it was simply lying beside the baby during nap time or offering a gentle nudge when the baby seemed upset, the puppy's presence brought a sense of peace to the household. It was as though the puppy knew that its role in the baby's life was to provide emotional support, to offer a sense of security that could not be found elsewhere. For the parents, the growth they saw in their baby was undeniable. Though the baby still faced challenges in terms of mobility and physical development, they had started to see signs of emotional maturity and strength. The baby was learning to trust, to form bonds, and to feel comforted by the presence of someone they cared for. And as the parents watched this transformation unfold, they couldn't help but feel a sense of awe at the way the puppy had played such an important role in their child's emotional growth. They had started to see the bigger picture, that healing was not just about fixing what was broken. It was about creating an environment where love, trust, and support could flourish. The puppy had provided that environment in a way that no one else could. It wasn't about grand gestures or complicated actions. It was about offering something simple and pure, companionship. And in that companionship, the baby had found a sense of peace and comfort. Looking back, the parents couldn't believe how far they had come. The journey had been difficult, filled with moments of uncertainty and fear. But through it all, they had learned the importance of emotional connection, of the healing power of love and trust. The puppy had shown them that sometimes the simplest things could make the biggest difference. It wasn't about the therapies or the treatments. It was about the quiet moments, the moments when the puppy offered its love without hesitation, when it was there for the baby in ways that nothing else could be. And as they continued their journey, the parents knew that the puppy would always be a part of their lives, a constant source of comfort and healing for their baby. The bond they shared was something truly special, one that transcended words, one that could not be explained, but only felt. It was a bond that would continue to grow and evolve, and they knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, with love, support, and the unwavering presence of the puppy by their side. As the months went by, the connection between the baby and the puppy only grew stronger. What had started as an unlikely bond had developed into a powerful relationship, one that seemed to offer more than just companionship. It was as though the puppy had become an essential part of the baby's life, offering a sense of stability and emotional support that the parents had never anticipated. The parents, initially unsure of how the puppy would fit into their unique family dynamic, found themselves grateful every day for the bond that had formed. In the beginning, the parents had hesitated about bringing a pet into the home. They worried about the added responsibilities and the potential for distractions that could interfere with their child's care. But looking back, they realized that the puppy had brought a sense of calm and normalcy to their lives, a welcome distraction from the often overwhelming routine of doctor's appointments, therapies, and constant vigilance. The puppy had provided the kind of joy and laughter that in many ways had been missing before. Its playful energy and love had infused their home with light, even during the darkest days. There were moments when the parents marveled at the puppy's ability to provide comfort in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes, when the baby would become upset or fussy, it wasn't the parents who could calm them, but the puppy. It wasn't a matter of the baby being comforted by the puppy's presence. It was as though the puppy had the ability to sense the baby's emotions, to understand when the baby needed soothing, and to respond accordingly. The parents had witnessed this countless times. The baby would be inconsolable, crying out of frustration or discomfort, and then the puppy would gently approach, lay next to the baby, and nudge them softly with its head. The result was almost always the same. The baby would gradually quiet down, and a sense of calm would settle over the room. The puppy's ability to provide comfort in those moments was nothing short of miraculous. The parents began to realize that it wasn't just about physical presence, it was about emotional resonance. The puppy seemed to have a deep, intuitive understanding of the baby's needs. It wasn't just a pet, it was a companion in every sense of the word. The puppy was not only offering love and affection, but also creating a sense of safety for the baby. The emotional bond between them became more than just the connection between a baby and a pet. It was a partnership, a quiet understanding that neither needed to vocalize. The baby's reliance on the puppy had become something they both seemed to lean on, something that became an integral part of the baby's routine and well-being. For the parents, witnessing this bond unfold was both heartwarming and humbling. They had often wondered how they would be able to navigate the many challenges that came with raising a child with special needs. They had feared that their child's emotional development might be hindered by their inability to move freely, to interact in the same ways other babies did. But the puppy had shown them that emotional growth wasn't just about traditional milestones. It was about connection, about being present and offering love no matter the circumstances. It was about finding ways to offer comfort that transcended the usual expectations. And in that respect, the puppy had done something truly extraordinary. The puppy's role in the baby's life was not only about providing comfort in times of distress, but also about offering a sense of normalcy. The parents had come to realize that having the puppy around had created an environment where the baby could experience something akin to a typical childhood. The baby had someone to interact with, someone to bond with, someone who didn't see their physical limitations. The puppy didn't care that the baby couldn't run or play in the traditional sense. It only cared about being there for them, offering love, companionship, and a sense of security. As the baby continued to grow, the parents saw that this bond had an undeniable impact on their child's emotional and social development. The baby's face would light up whenever the puppy entered the room, and they would stretch their tiny hands toward the puppy, eager to touch its soft fur. The puppy, in turn, would nuzzle its face into the baby's hand, offering a gentle lick or a quiet nudge. There was a visible sense of joy in these interactions, and it became clear that the baby's emotional world was expanding. The puppy was not just a source of comfort, it was a source of joy, a friend that the baby had come to rely on for companionship and emotional support. What struck the parents most, however, was the way the puppy seemed to know when the baby needed something more than just physical comfort. The baby, though unable to speak, began to communicate their needs through their facial expressions and body language, and the puppy, seemingly without hesitation, would respond in kind. There were moments when the baby would become restless, not from physical discomfort, but from emotional turmoil, perhaps from frustration or confusion, or simply from the overwhelming nature of the world around them. And in those moments, the puppy would sit quietly by the baby's side, offering no judgment, just a steady, comforting presence. It was as though the puppy understood that sometimes the most important thing wasn't to fix the problem, but to simply be there. This quiet presence from the puppy became a cornerstone of the baby's emotional development. As the days passed, the baby seemed to grow more relaxed, more confident in their surroundings. They were beginning to trust the world around them in ways that hadn't been possible before. The puppy had offered them a safe space, a sense of security that helped them navigate the challenges of their condition. And in return, the puppy had formed an unbreakable bond with the baby, a bond that would last for years to come. One of the most remarkable things about this journey was the way it had transformed the parents' perspective on healing. In the early days, they had been so focused on the physical recovery of their child, on the therapies, the treatments, the doctor's visits, that they hadn't fully appreciated the emotional and psychological aspects of healing. They had believed that healing was about restoring what was lost, about fixing what had been broken. But as they watched their baby and the puppy interact, they began to understand that healing was much more than that. Healing was about connection. It was about creating an environment where love, trust, and companionship could thrive. And in that environment, true healing could take place. The parents realized that the puppy had helped their child heal in ways that no one else could. The puppy had taught them the importance of emotional well-being, that it wasn't just the body that needed healing, but the heart and mind as well. The baby's journey was not just about physical recovery, it was about emotional growth, and the puppy had been there every step of the way, offering a quiet, unwavering presence of support. There were times when the parents would reflect on how far they had come. They had once feared that their child's life would be defined by their limitations, that they would miss out on the joys of childhood because of their condition. But now, they saw that those limitations didn't define their child's experience. The puppy had shown them that love and companionship could transcend physical boundaries. That connection could exist even in the face of adversity. The baby might not have been able to walk or talk like other children, but they had something equally important. They had a bond with the puppy, a connection that was deep, meaningful, and transformative. Looking back, the parents couldn't help but feel a sense of awe and gratitude. They had gone through so many difficult moments, faced countless challenges, and experienced so much uncertainty. But in the end, they had found something they hadn't expected, a miracle, not in the form of a dramatic recovery, but in the form of love, companionship, and emotional healing. The puppy had become a constant, steady presence in their lives, and in doing so, had helped their baby heal in ways that went beyond the physical. It had taught them all a valuable lesson, that sometimes the greatest miracles are not the ones we see with our eyes, but the ones we feel in our hearts. As they looked to the future, the parents knew that their journey was far from over. There would be more challenges, more hurdles to overcome, but they also knew that they weren't alone. They had each other, and they had the puppy, a loving, unwavering companion who had shown them the true meaning of healing. Together, they would face whatever came their way, united in love, trust, and the deep bond they had formed. If you believe in the power of love to heal, don't forget to share this video with others who need a little hope today.